All right. Hi, guys. My name is Asia. I'm with Blue Ribbon Notaries. We are a signing service. We service notaries for mobile closings all across the United States. So I have found notaries in Hawaii to rural parts of Indiana, rural Oklahoma, rural New York. I didn't even know there was rural New York, but apparently there is. Anywho, I found notaries everywhere. And if you are a realtor, real estate firm, an investor, if you're a wholesaler, fix and flipper, if you do subject to transactions, assumptions, um, seller finance, owner finance, if you're a loan officer and you need a mobile closing transaction, we're a company. I mean, we handle it all. And we have been operating since March of 2022. That's when I went live. And since I have been sourcing notaries, I've experienced a lot of growing pains. Like, I've got to really understand and know that not everybody works how you work. So, um, there are a couple of things that I will point out that I've experienced with some of the notaries that I work with that I wouldn't recommend. So, I made a video of things that notaries do that I love. And this is kind of more of the things that notaries do that probably made me pull my hair out. So, or probably I wouldn't even say rub me the wrong way because that's not fair. Just probably one of those things where it was a little bit more stressful than what it really needed to be. Um, One of the things that notaries do, and this is something that I've actually been guilty of myself, is they don't always communicate. Um, Communication is really key to let something go fluid. Not every transaction is going to close, and the title company knows that, the investor knows that, the loan officer knows that, the realtor knows that. We all understand not everything happens. So if something happens, it's always best practice to pick up your phone and call. Just let us know. Especially my transactions, they can be a little tricky. I deal with a lot of investor properties. These investor properties sometimes have 10 people who are on title to close and sell a property. Nine of the 10 people may have signed with no problems. You get to that 10th person, and the 10th person decides they do not want to sign. Um, it's happened. It's happened at least 4 times this summer. I've done 2 of the 4, and then I've had notaries out doing the other 2. When that happens, please, please, please pick up your phone and call. I've had notaries send email. That's probably not best practice. Reason being is I do check my email on a regular basis, but I may not see your email right when you send it. So if you sent that email 15 minutes before I checked it, more than likely you're out the building, you're gone. Um, which is fine. I don't expect you to sit there and try to talk somebody into signing. But if you call me while you're there and somebody refuses to sign, I can hear for myself what's going on, what the reason is for not signing, the tone of their voice when they say it, so that way I can relay that message directly to the title company. Sometimes when a notary tells me something, it gets lost in translation. And so they may have said something that wasn't conveyed or meant by the seller the correct way, or they may have misheard or things happen. Even with me, even if I hear something and tell it to the kind of title company, I might misconvey or mishear or something. But I'd rather it go through one ear instead of 2 ears to the third person, if that makes any sense. So communication is really, really key. It's really important. It's strongly preferred. I also have notaries who don't let me know when an appointment is completed. Again, that's something that I've been guilty of myself. So those are 2 things that I completely understand. Communication. Sometimes I kind of live by the, if you don't hear from me, then everything went great. If I call you, then that's when we have a problem. But don't be afraid to call people. Is basically what I'm saying. So there's been times where the client is waiting for to hear back on whether or not something has been completed. Not because they didn't trust that you completed the assignment or the notary didn't take care of the task at hand. They know the person that they've been working with. So a lot of times the title company has been going back and forth with the client or the signers directly, or the signers a spokesperson, whether it be the investor, realtor, loan officer. Like they've had conversation and dialogue with the person that you're going to meet, or the person, so they kind of know how this may go. And if they think that there could have been an issue throughout the transaction, they want to make sure everything went great. So if I get an email saying, "Hey, did this person sign?" More than likely, they probably had the thought in their head that there was going to be an issue where the person was going to throw a fuss and they may not have signed. So when I reach out to the notary to find out, "Hey, did this appointment get completed? How did it go?" "Oh yeah, we completed 2 hours ago." I wish you kind of would have told me. So it never hurts just to shoot a quick text message. "Hey, appointment went great. I'm gonna scan docs shortly," or "Appointment went great. I will not be able to scan docs for another hour or two. I hope that's okay." Just kind of just keep me in the loop of what's going on. I understand you are an independent contractor. You're running your business the way that you need to run your business, and that's fair. But again, communication it's everybody's friend. So that's one thing. Just I really wish notaries would have communicated with me more. Another issue that I've had with notaries, and something that I would not recommend, is just making assumptions. Mm. So, I understand sometimes you want to make a educated guess, or you don't want to call and say, "Hey, I don't understand. I don't know what I'm doing." But I've had people make assumptions, and it's just gone wrong. They either had the documents signed completely incorrect, and they had to go back out there to get them re-signed, or they made assumptions about, "Hey, I didn't get a FedEx label, so I thought I was supposed to shred the document." Ooh, you probably shouldn't have did that. The client always wants their original documents. So if you don't have a FedEx label, just double check. Ask me, "Hey, what am I going to do with this original document? Do you want me to shred it, or am I going to get a label?" Things happen sometimes, especially at the end of the month. Stuff is coming out left and right. Sometimes the FedEx label is included with the packet of documents, so I may get one attachment. Sometimes I have to go back and request a FedEx label because the FedEx label is not included within the documents. So it happens. It never hurts to ask. Never make the assumption that if you don't have a FedEx label, to go ahead and shred it. It When it happened, it's almost happened twice actually. It happened once, and the notary did go ahead and shred it, and it was like, "Okay, fine, no problem. Let's reach out to the person and see if she'll re-sign this page." Luckily, it was just a two signature type of document. I think it was no more than 6 pages. Well, unfortunately, the lady refused to resign. So since she refused to resign, that meant the client was kind of stuck. Like, "Okay, well, we need this document in order to close this transaction and be approved by the title company. And if you're refusing to sign, we're kind of at a standstill." So without that signature, the client was their transaction was put on pause, to where they were going to potentially lose out on that deal, and we weren't going to get paid. So if I wasn't going to get paid for it, I had to make the decision not to pay the notary for it. And that's something, like, I don't want to make those type of decisions. I don't want to not pay somebody for not taking the time and going to complete a task that they were contracted to do. Um, all because they made an assumption of shredding a document. It was probably a mistake he'll never make again, but that was a hard decision. Like, I never want to have to do that again. I did have a notary ask, "Hey, am I supposed to shred it? Because I didn't get a FedEx." And I was like, "Oh, no, 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 no! Please do not shred. If you shred, I cannot pay you." And I wasn't saying it to be mean. I had to say it because, based on experience, it happened before, and because this has happened before, I had to make a decision not to pay the notary, because I didn't get paid. So if I didn't get paid, you don't get paid, and that's just kind of unfortunate. And there's things that I don't get paid for that I still pay the notaries for, but that was a decision because we didn't get paid because of a mistake you made. So yeah, just never make assumptions. Always double check. Always ask. It doesn't hurt anybody. Trust me, you're not gonna get on my nerves. And if you do get on my nerves, I'd rather you get on my nerves and get your check or get your money than you just make an executive decision when you're not in a place to make an executive decision. So that's that. Another thing that notaries do that I probably would not recommend is directly calling the title company when you have questions. I've had notaries where the title company just flat out told me, "Never use that person again." And that's unfortunate. I don't want to, like, I don't like to be, I want to give everybody a shot and I want people to win. So if you have questions, always call the people who contracted you for that service. Um, in this particular case, the notary called, um, or actually, I don't think the notary called. I think the person that was signing called the title company, and the notary got on the phone and she argued the escrow officer down. That's not a good idea. So, yeah, just if you have questions or concern, call me first. Just call me first. Just I don't even want to put you in that position where I can never use you again because you rubbed the escrow officer the wrong way, and it happens more than you think, believe it or not. Another thing that I would never recommend is I would not send your business cards back with the documents. Now, in my case, I have relationships with the clients that I work with, so I'm not concerned about you trying to steal business. That's not even a thing, but it looks like that to them. So when you get that business card or when you send your documents and you send your business card back to them with your documents, they're looking at it as a don't go through her, use me directly. Well, I don't think a lot of people realize for Fidelity, they don't use individual notaries like that directly. Um, you have to be sponsored by an escrow officer. You have to be approved through their credentialing, and then once you're approved, like, oh, it's a process to be approved directly through Fidelity. It's not something you can just easily do. And same thing with some of my other clients. If they don't know you, they're not going to use you. Like, I'm not even being funny or anything like that. They're going to go with people that they know, they trust, and people who they've just worked with directly. So, um, I wouldn't recommend it. Don't send your business cards. For some people who've done it, I just flat out never use them again. Other people who have done it, like if I knew they were new and they were just starting out, I just kind of told them, hey, with me, I'll let you make it, but please don't do this again because I don't want you to get banned from other signing services that do it. Some signing service owners feel a certain type of way. Like if you do that, you're automatically banned, and not only are you banned, they'll tell other signing services. I don't have the energy to do stuff like that. So yeah, just I would not recommend that. One of the Another thing that I've had notaries do that I would not recommend is like trying to coerce the client into not signing a document. We're not there to give opinions. So if you don't know the backstory, and again, because I work with a lot of investor properties, sometimes these people have to sell because they're court ordered to. Sometimes they have to sell because their house is going to be foreclosed on the next week. So if they don't sign these documents today and get whatever little money they can, the bank or Harris County or whatever county, if it's a tax foreclosure, is going to take their property and they get absolutely nothing. So sometimes from the outside looking in, it may look like, ooh, that's kind of shifty. The people don't want to sign, they're being forced to sign. That's not always the case. Sometimes they have to sell. And of course, if you have to do something, you don't want to do it. Like, I get it, it looks bad. But I've like legit had notaries give, I guess, legal advice or their recommended recommendations or their opinions where it wasn't warranted or needed because they didn't understand the backstory. So, and if you cause a client not to get anything when they could have gotten something out of the deal, that's on your head. Like, to me, that's a whole, like, you where you thought you were helping but you were really hurting. Um, that happens. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. We're not there to give our opinions. We don't know the backstory. We don't know what's going on. The only thing we are there to do is verify that the person that is signing the documents has an ID and documentation or legal documentation saying that they have the right to sign these documents, and you are there to notarize their signature. That's the only thing you're there to facilitate and do. Now, if you do feel like something's fraudulent or something weird's going on, of course, speak your opinion, speak whatever. But like I've had people help like that have caused people to lose out on some money, and that's just unfortunate. That it really is. It's unfortunate. So what do we say? No communication. Uh, it just kind of sucks. No communication, arguing with the escrow officer, calling the title company directly instead of just contacting me, um, giving their unsolicited opinions, uh, scans. I've had notaries kind of argue with me about scan backs, like, oh, well, I know you asked for scans, but I was going to ask for an extra fee. I wouldn't agree to it if I knew. Well, I'm sorry, it's in the instructions. So when I give you when I give my appointments, it's in the instructions. And sometimes it's not a big deal. Sometimes the title company will let it slide. You do not hear that from me if they did not get scans. The most important thing is they want those documents and they need them to fund. So if you do not scan your documents and FedEx loses those documents in transit, I have no proof that you did that appointment. And without that proof, I can't pay you. Like, that's just unfortunate. And again, I don't like to make those decisions. I don't want to make those decisions of not giving somebody their money for the time and work they've done, only because I'm a notary myself. So I have to go through the same things that you're going through. I know what you're going through. Um, so just kind of conveniently forgetting to do something, it looks very unprofessional. So I don't, that's some of the thing I probably wouldn't recommend. Another thing I would not recommend is berating me about the price. I know that I pay my notaries fair. Like, you get a absolute fair fee out of me. I don't. I still work. I do stuff for signing services, and sometimes I take stuff with signing services, the same type of stuff that I send out for a lesser fee, only because it's maybe 5 minutes around my house or 5 minutes away from my house. So what does it hurt? I have a different formula and different guidelines of how I take appointments. Um, that may be different than how somebody else chooses to take appointments, and that's fair. That's fine. You do you. You run your business the way that you need to run it. No judgment. But I don't think people understand, if the notary is always going to make more money than me. If I am getting something, let's just say, we'll just give a flat, a blanket number, because sometimes I get stuff for 150, sometimes I get stuff for 175. It's very rare that I get anything over 200, or at or over 200. It happens, but it's rare here in Texas. If I get something for 150 and I'm giving it to you for 100, you're making more money than me. So I don't understand the arguing about the fee, especially for something that's pretty simple, or something that it's kind of basic, or something that I know for a fact, if you got it from a signing service, another signing service, you would get it for less than that. So I work with a lot of notaries that seem to come across entitled. It is the word that I would want to say, but I don't think that's fair. I just feel like if you don't want to take signing service fees, do not have your information on signing service platforms. Take it off, because I do pay very fair, and sometimes I don't understand the logic of a signing service is taking my money. We're not taking your money. Um, Again, if I'm getting something for 150 and I'm giving it to you for 100, you're making more money than me. Now, I'm always willing to negotiate for certain circumstances, certain reasons, even if I'm in a bind. So I'm not saying, if I'm in a bind and I don't have time to be calling a list of notaries, and I have somewhere I have to be in a short amount of time, like, because I still do appointments myself. If you negotiate and say, hey, I can't do it for 100, I can do it for whatever fee, depending on how I feel that day, I might give it to you. I mean, you might catch me on a good day. But like, the whole logic of being so anti signing service, like they are taking my money, it's asinine to me. So I just wouldn't recommend always arguing for your fee to be higher. Just keep in mind, you're making more money than signing service. Now, that's not always the case. There are some signing service out there who are who are who are getting over on their notaries, by offering like $60 refinances. Like, we all know how big refinances are, and we all know $60 is not a fair fee for that. I get it. In that case, you do negotiate and you do ask for a higher fee. Um, but just assuming that everybody who's contacting you is making double or triple or whatever than what they're offering you, that's going to get you side-eyed. And another thing I wouldn't recommend is if I say, hey, I need scan backs. Oh, well, that's going to be an additional Like, no, it's kind of padded into the fee already. Like, it don't take that long to do scan backs. Or I've had notaries say, I don't care that I'm only scanning back 3 pages. I want this much extra money. Like, no, that's not really how this works. So yeah, it happens. So those are the top things that I can think of that I've experienced this summer. Just running and growing my signing service. Those are things that you can kind of keep in mind that I would not recommend you doing. I mean, do it if you want to. See if you can get away with it. You may get away with it once or twice. Um, but I just wouldn't recommend it. It rubs people the wrong way. It's rubbed me the wrong way. And you want to be that notary that people always pick up the phone and reach out to and utilize. There are people on my phone I could just text, hey, I got something this, you want it? Yep. They don't even know the fee. I mean, they don't even care what the fee is. They'll just take it because they know I'm good for it and they know that I'm going to treat them well. So just kind of keep that in mind, and just good luck out there. Thanks.